Hi, I'm Mike Papantonio, and this is America's Lawyer. A federal lawsuit claims that the state of Alabama is using prison inmates as slave labor, leasing them out to fast food restaurants and other businesses, and then taking their money for themselves. True story. Billionaires are funding trips for federal judges all over the planet, and their money has managed to buy them all sorts of favorable rulings. And President Biden, well, he's growing furious about his bad poll numbers. And the new report said that he's demanding answers from his staffers about what's happening. Why is it so bad for him? We'll talk about that. All that and more, it's coming up. Don't go anywhere. America's Lawyer starts right now. A new lawsuit claims that the prison system in Alabama is engaged in a form of modern-day slavery. The state's been leasing out inmates to private businesses and then taking their wages to keep for themselves. I've got Farron Cousins with me to talk about this. Farron, you know, my thought is, okay, first of all, you got people there that want to get out of the house, right? The idea they want to go do that. They don't like hanging around their cell all day long, so this gives them something to do. But there's another side to it, isn't there? Go ahead and pick up.
Yeah, what we're seeing happen in the state of Alabama, which, by the way, is making the state about, $500 million a year, is they're doing what's called convict leasing. Mm-hmm. So they take these prisoners who, as you say, they want to work, they want to not sit in jail where they're at risk of being assaulted or murdered. So they say, yeah, I'll go work at McDonald's for you because that's one of the places they have a contract. So then they get their paychecks and realize, wait a minute, there's only a few dollars on here. Where's the rest of my money? Oh, the state government took it because they, I guess, just felt entitled to it.
They take 40%.
Yeah.
Guy says, well, this is a chance for me to get, and it is true. I mean, they did a study on this one time, and the prisoners really like to get away from what they're doing every day, but when they turn it into slavery, and there's a different side to it too. The other side is, some of these guys are wondering, are they holding me here when I should be paroled?
Yeah.
In other words, am I being held back from being able to get out of here and get a real job so that these folks can make half a billion?
Yeah, a year.
$500 million a year on my work. Typically, it's fast food, right?
Yeah, fast food. They also, do some construction work, obviously, and other things where they're kind of removed from being directly involved with other people. But, you brought up a really great point there, the denying of the parole, even just not even giving these people parole hearings. There was one woman who was supposed to have a parole hearing back in 2020, and they pushed it down the road years so that she could keep going to work, sometimes 6 days a week.
The other part of it is they're punishing the people that don't want to do this.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of ways to do that, put you over to a bad cell or maybe ship you off to a higher security cell, a higher security prison. They can move around all over Alabama. But, it's got two sides to it. Like I said, I did see an article a while back where these guys say, well, this is good. I get to get out. I don't necessarily want to give 40% of my money to the state, but it gives me something to do. But then when it becomes punitive and you're saying, well, we're going to hold back parole because we need these workers. We need slaves.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give you parole. And oh, by the way, if you don't participate, we're going to ship you to a place where you might be killed in a very, very high security prison. Insurance companies have started hiring doctors with long, long histories of medical malpractice. They hire them to deny claims. That's why they're doing it. Most of the major insurance companies in this country are using doctors that have dismal records to tell you that your prescription or your medical procedures just aren't going to be covered by insurance. What a scam. Again, who comes through on this lever? ProPublica. Well,
yeah, and this was actually said to me by a medical malpractice attorney, and she was absolutely stunned by what's going on here, because we have these doctors who not only have millions of dollars in malpractice lawsuits, many of them have been disciplined, they've been busted for fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking real criminal behavior, and now they're working for hundreds of thousands a year for insurance companies saying, no, don't cover this procedure for this patient.
The worst part about it is the people doing this, for example, you may have a podiatrist that's close to losing their license. They've been sued for malpractice, whatever it may be. Anesthesiologists, they've been sued for malpractice. They can't really carry on a practice. So they go to work for $400,000 with these companies. And the podiatrist is telling a cardiologist, no, you can't allow this treatment to take place. They're not even in the same field. They have no idea what that cardiologist is trying to tell the podiatrist. It's just automatic denial. About 10,000 a month for some of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, they go through these things rapid fire because obviously the less you cover, the less the insurance company pays. So there's big incentives, by the way, for these doctors, even with their horrible histories. They couldn't get a job at a free clinic because they're so bad with the malpractice that, hey, you deny a certain number of claims, you're going to get a big bonus this year. Your base pay is $400,000, but we may throw in a couple extra $100,000 depending on how much money you save us. And so these doctors that have no business practicing, they're dealing with areas, like you said, that are outside of their expertise 100%, and they're just looking on paper and saying yes or no.
We've talked about this before, but first of all, let me clarify something. It's less than 2% of the doctors that create all the malpractice.
Yeah.
That is a startling number. Less than 2% create all the malpractice in the medical field. I think that's a startling number. But we've talked about the idea that once Wall Street started buying up these small doctor-run hospitals, you'd have these small towns where you'd have 10 doctors that own the hospital, and they're invested in that hospital in every sense of the word. They want things to go well. They want good patient care. Wall Street saw that, hey, this is a big profit center for us. So they started buying them up by the dozens all over the country. Now they control 80% of the hospital health care out there. Wall Street does. So the cats that hire these people who have malpractice histories that are going to say anything the insurance company wants them to say, to the tune of, I saw a report, 10,000 a month. Yeah. Some of these doctors are doing 10,000 denials a month. And so, for the right money, and as you say, hey, throw in a bonus, right?
Yeah. And to your point also about the hospitals buying up or the Wall Street buying up the hospitals then buy up all the local doctors.
Right.
So you can't find an independent physician anymore. They're saying, oh no, I'm a part of this medical group. So they do all the billing. They take all the pressure off me. But no, what they're really doing is becoming part of this conglomerate that, again, is also in some instances partnered at the hip with the insurance company, telling us, no, you can't have this. No, you can't have this prescription. No, that surgery for a deviated septum, that's mostly cosmetic, so we're not going to.
Or experimental.
Right.
Or we don't,
it's ridiculous. Yeah. Look, they gave me issues about covering my carpal tunnel surgery. And this is what we're dealing with because healthcare is so privatized.
Well, it's Wall Street. It is controlled by Wall Street. When you have to call Wall Street to see if you can have heart surgery, which happens repeatedly. We get calls here all the time. They say, look, I got to have this procedure done, or they say that I have 2 years to live. And they'll call and say, we got to get this done. And, oh, no, that's experimental. We can't put any money behind that. It's the worst of the worst. And anytime you have Wall Street involved, you're going to have the worst word. They're trying to do this with the legal field. You're seeing these law firms that are national law firms. Wall Street's trying to do the same thing. They tried to buy us. Ridiculous. But the point is this, that's their MO. Find out where the money is and then go and take advantage of everything you can with that industry. Whether it's the dental industry, you're seeing these dental clinics come up everywhere, massive dental clinics, optometrists, massive optometry. And the kids coming out of school, it's a pretty good deal. You're coming through medical school. You owe $500,000. And so rather than going out there and hanging up your license and saying, I'm going to start my own practice, just go with the hospital, go with these corporation groups. And it's all become corporate. And this is what's happening with it. Yep. Billionaires have decided that buying politicians isn't enough, so they've started buying off judges. These wealthy donors are sending judges all over the globe to attend to their education. Well, judges have learned that they have to play ball sometimes in order to get these great trips. I got a couple of varied signs to the way this is developing because I'm in front of judges all the time. But give me your take on this, okay?
Yeah, again, another great report from The Lever here. And they went through and they analyzed the financial disclosures of these judges across the board, left, right, center. Doesn't matter, what the judge was or who appointed the judge. These billionaire-backed groups, it's not about a political agenda, it's about a corporate agenda. Right. And they are sending them all over the world in some cases because they put on these, continuing education seminars where, you got to do these courses as judges. And what it is it's pro-corporate propaganda, 100%. And, they're in all these places where you want to go, you want a vacation, they have you in for 3 hours, then you're free to play golf or do whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the places that are doing this, Duke University is a great example. They started, this was put together. What this story misses, I think, to some degree, is big law firms are the money behind this, okay? Your biggest defense firms that all they do is defend corporations, they'll call Duke. And Duke bought into this big time. Duke is like a haven for conservative thought where it comes to practice law. I mean, they bring in all these defense lawyers, then they bring in judges, and defense lawyers compared to claimants' lawyers are about 10 to 1. So the judges are hearing for 4 days about how horrible things are out there. But it's the court. See, that's what this story kind of misses, and this is really a well-done story, don't get me wrong. But the whole push now is the economics of law, okay? That's their big push with these really conservative judges. I would like to tell you that it's just conservative judges are the problem. Some of the worst judges I have been in front of come from Democrat appointments. And we say, oh, well, that's got to be, Democrat appointment, we're going to be. No, it's not. Why? But people don't understand why that is. The Democrat appointment, just like the Republican appointment, has come up through the defense industry. Yeah. Okay, all they've ever done is represented corporate interest against consumers. I can't go into the details about it, but the last awful, just ridiculous decision, overwhelming information that the corporation had done wrong. But when you looked at her analysis of things, it was all about the economics. We've killed some people. But sometimes that's just the cost of doing business. That is emanating not just from the Federalist Society, but from the biggest defense firms, Williams and Connolly types in this country, that they're creating these havens. Duke is one of them. There's several more, aren't there?
Yeah, and of course, the usual suspects are there too. You've got the Koch network that is funding some of these junkets, the Federalist Society, as you mentioned. But really what this is this is almost a legal form of bribery, right? There's no restrictions on this. There's nothing, illegal being alleged at all. But these judges know, and this is an expression I've heard you say before, you dance with who brought you.
Right.
And that is exactly what these judges do. They say, well, okay, I've got this case in front of me now, but golly, they actually just paid. It was a gorgeous trip we took down to, Europe. It was great. So, I mean, if we look at this, they did some bad things, but is it worth punishing them for $500 million?
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in. It's not necessarily always ruling against the plaintiffs,
right,
but reducing those damages to where the company still makes huge profits.
Well, it's a business decision. They make $10 billion and have to pay out $1 billion, where they know from the very word go that the product that they were selling was going to kill people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. And I'm on these panels with these defense lawyers and judges, and it's always stacked. It's like 10 to 1. And so that's the way it's designed. And like I say, Duke is the worst. It is the worst about buying into the idea, bringing all these defense lawyers, have them overwhelming the federal judges that are there. But I don't really see, day to day, I got to tell you, I don't see a big difference. I know that probably shocks everybody, but I don't see a big difference where it comes to the Democratic appointment or the Republican appointment. That is startling. You see some difference. But the variations of what I'm seeing right now with some of these Democratic judges that we thought, this is going to be a great judge because he came from a big corporate defense firm, and he gave a lot of money to, say, Obama. and then Obama makes the appointment, and Obama loses touch with the idea that this corporate defense lawyer is still a corporate defense lawyer. He just has a black robe.
Yeah,
now.
they'll be good on the social issue side
Yeah,
of things,
yeah.
but when it comes to holding corporations accountable,
forget it.
they're all the same.
Yeah, forget it. President Biden's poll numbers have been going down for the past 4 consecutive months, and a new report says that Biden has noticed. You think? In fact, around Thanksgiving, the president called his staff to ask him, "What the hell? What is this?" And I think that's probably the first thing he should have thought about. Do I have the right staff here? Go ahead and pick up.
Yeah, this is, it's a good sign that Biden understands, hey, something is wrong. I shouldn't be losing to the guy with 91 felony counts against him who's out there wanting to be a dictator, but he is. All the polls for 4 months have shown losing, and those polls keep getting worse for him. And, we're 11 months out now. So now is the time where it's like, okay, we should be worrying if you're a part of that Biden administration, things are bad. But I think what he's missing is they are not good with the messaging.
Okay, so the talking head critics that are saying it's time to pay attention to this. I mean, whether it's Carville or, a lot of folks coming from the Obama administration, Axelrod, coming from the Obama administration and the Clinton administration, so it's time for us to pay attention. Some of their speak clearly, speak coherently. That's one thing. Stop stumbling around and running into things. I mean, that sounds easy. Lose Kamala Harris. Get rid of her. She's an anchor around your neck. Fix the immigration. Come out and start doing something about immigration. At least tell the story about the economy to where people understand that it's pretty good. You've done a pretty good job. Talk about things like chips, stuff that you've created for the infrastructure. Tell Hillary, get lost. Okay, get rid of Hillary and bring Obama in to help. So these are all things that I wish he'd listen to. These are basically talking head recommendations. Oh, quit trying to save your toxic son. This is what you hear him talk about. And get rid of your staff. Your staff sucks. The people who are advising you are morons. Get rid of them. What do you think?
I agree. When he came into office, look, he packed it with the same old DC insiders that have been there for decades, making bad decisions, doing things the way things have always been done for the sake of doing it that way. Nothing new, no new ideas, no big grand, plans. So those people are a problem. And that's something, by the way, we talked about when the administration started picking people.
Exactly.
Your Neera Tandons and folks like that, kick them out the door. But here's another interesting tidbit. Earlier this week, another poll came out, New York Times poll this time, that said that the 3 top issues for voters, economy, then inflation, then immigration.
Yeah.
But the issue the Democrats are focusing on, because it has helped them in the last election, is
the abortion.
Which
is good.
1% of voters said that's their top issue. 1%.
Well,
and so they're now, this was announced earlier today, they're sending Kamala Harris out on a month-long nationwide tour to only talk about that.
Well,
that's not a winning issue as much.
I'm not sold on that. I mean, that's the statistic, and you know these statistics.
Yeah.
Instinctively, I think it's a good issue, but if it's only moving
it definitely is a good issue.
To me, the issues are, look, the infrastructure issue was important. We're building new roads now. We're building new bridges. We're doing the things that he said he wanted to try to accomplish. But his handlers are so bad. And that's what everybody's telling him. Get rid of these jokers. I mean, they're terrible. Start anew. You have time to start with a new group. Also, these activists that you have around you that want to put their head in the sand and tell everybody the polls don't mean anything. Get rid of them. Get rid of them, because what a ridiculous thing to say. Talk about. Let's get some specifics. Talk about some of the point difference. Michigan, for example.
Yeah, Michigan. He's looking at 10 points.
It was 10
at
points,
this point.
Yeah.
The other, you're looking at 5 other swing states here because you've got Wisconsin. They're calling Georgia a swing state, which I don't agree
see
with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's like calling Florida a swing state.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're a red state, unfortunately. So all of these areas where Trump is winning by anywhere between 5 and 10 points, well outside of any margin of errors. And those are the ones that are going to decide the election. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin. And that's where he's got real issues here. But again, the economic message, the Bidenomics talking point didn't work. Okay, so switch it up, drop the name, and start talking about the fact that, listen, every month this year, we have exceeded expectations on job creation. That's big.
Something bothers me, and here it is. It struck me when I was reading this article. Okay, so he has everybody in a room, and he says, look, this really isn't about me. This is about the future of democracy. If he really believed that, he would step down.
Yeah.
If he really believed that, he would step down. But that's what he's telling me. It's not about me. If it's not about you and you see what's happening here, get the hell out of the way. Let somebody run that can beat this crazy man. I mean, somebody out there that we feel comfortable with. What do the independents do to this? Anything?
It troubles me a bit because, look, I mean, we look at these poll numbers, we see it on paper, and Biden's in trouble. Mm-hmm. But then you look in practice, and we have seen Democrats overperform in every election since, summer of 2022.
Virginia.
Look at Virginia. Even Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how accurate are the polls, because they've been
way
off in years.
I always worry about that.
But I think also dismissing them is not a good idea either. He has issues and he's got to work on them, and he's not yet.
We'll do a show like this, and the comments coming in are, you can't believe the polls. Ignore the polls. You don't ignore the polls. They're telling you something, and they're telling that Kamala's not helping. They're telling you that whatever the imagery is of this guy, it's not great. They're telling you that the handlers aren't telling the story very well.
Yeah.
They're telling you they got problems with immigration. You got problems with delivering your story on the economy. And get rid of Hillary. Don't have Hillary out as your talking point.
I mean, as somebody hugely as unpopular as she is, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
That is a dumb move.
Yeah.
But, look, Ukraine is dragging him down a bit. Israel, Gaza, dragging him down.
Totally.
He's got a lot of problems.
Do you think the hearings that are coming up really are not going to have any effect? I mean, I have a hard time believing, because I believe in the old paper cuts,
Yeah.
It's just another paper cut. What is your take on it?
I'm basing mine on what the actual Republicans are saying, and right now the Republicans are telling us, we don't have anything. We've got less than nothing. Mm-hmm. But then again, every one of them in the House voted to expand the inquiry. I do think at the end of the day, whether they find something or don't find something, I think that House is going to impeach him. Yeah. I think they will all band together and they will do it. I mean, that's a big prediction for next year. But
well, I mean, every day it's a new story. The latest is Jim, his brother, having conversations with a guy I know. I mean, I used to try cases for him, Dickie Scruggs, talking about the tobacco issue, and they were tapping the phone lines, and it's this stuff that's hanging around out there that the public hears. Now, does it mean anything at the end of the day? Is it really something that we can convict a sitting president about? I don't think so. Not from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But it's all of these things that cumulatively have an effect on the American public's attitude.
Well, the only thing that benefits Biden about that is the fact that it is all very confusing. And when an issue is confusing, it turns people off, because I don't understand.
Exactly.
Like the New York, not the fraud trial, but the one with Trump and the hush money payment because it was done this. A lot of people dismiss that because it is a confusing trail of things. So they say, well, that one doesn't matter.
That's interesting.
People get confused and they...
Well, it's like it's trying a case. I mean, if the jury doesn't get it immediately within the first 30 minutes, you probably lost your case. You'll be in trial for 2 months and you lost your case right up front in that first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's your point, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Thanks for joining me, Farron. I say it all the time. I believe you're the best. I really do believe you're the best progressive commentator in the business. I honestly believe that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's all for this week, but all of these segments are going to be posted right here on this channel in the coming week, so make sure you're subscribed. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where we tell you stories every week that corporate media simply can't tell you. Their advertisers will not allow them to tell the story because they'll jerk the advertising money away from them if they do. Or their political connections are so strong to the Republican side or the Democratic side that they're afraid to tell the story because they're afraid it's going to hurt their political party. We don't have that problem here, as you can tell. We'll see you next time.